Let me start with a number that surprises many of my patients. By age 60, more than 30% of men have clinically low testosterone. That number only grows with age. But here's what often goes unsaid. Low testosterone doesn't just mean less muscle mass or lower libido. It can also show up as fatigue, mood swings, poor sleep, and even brain fog. And too often men blame themselves, thinking, maybe I'm just getting old. But aging doesn't have to mean surrendering your energy, drive, or sense of vitality. What if I told you that something as simple as adding the right fruits to your daily diet could support your hormones in a real, evidence-based way? That's right. Today, we're going to talk about 3 specific fruits that have been shown in clinical studies to help support testosterone levels, reduce inflammation, and enhance cellular energy, especially in men over 60. Now, I know what you might be thinking. Can food really make a difference? The answer, supported by decades of research, is a quiet but powerful yes. These fruits don't replace hormone therapy or lifestyle changes, but they act like gentle allies in your daily fight against oxidative stress, hormonal decline, and chronic fatigue. Unfortunately, this isn't the kind of advice you'll get scrolling through social media. They are more likely to find confusing supplements, exaggerated claims, and sometimes even harmful practices. That's why this conversation matters, because you deserve clarity, not confusion. So today we'll break down the science behind how testosterone really works after age 60, how certain fruits can help, and the small daily changes that can restore energy and vitality without hype or fear. We'll also look at common myths like the idea that testosterone is only about sex or that fruit raises estrogen, and I'll walk you through what the actual research shows. Let's talk like I would with any patient sitting across from me, with care, evidence, and zero judgment, because this isn't about quick fixes. It's about giving your body the support it needs and giving you the understanding you deserve. Let's break this down like I would with a patient sitting across from me in clinic. When most men hear their testosterone is low after age 60, they assume one thing. Well, that's just aging. But aging isn't the cause, it's just the context. Here's what the research shows. Testosterone levels naturally begin to decline around age 30 to 35 at a rate of about 1% per year. But for many men, this decline accelerates due to other factors, things that are often invisible, chronic, and cumulative. So what's actually driving low testosterone in men over 60? Let's talk about 3 main culprits. Chronic inflammation. Inflammation is your body's defense system, but when it stays on too long, it starts to wear down your internal balance. A 2020 review in Frontiers in Endocrinology found that elevated levels of inflammatory markers like IL-6 and TNF-alpha are strongly associated with reduced testosterone production in aging men. Why? Because inflammation affects the Leydig cells in your testicles, the very cells that make testosterone. Think of them like tiny hormone factories. When they're surrounded by smoke, inflammation, they slow down or shut down. Insulin resistance and metabolic syndrome. This is a big one. Studies from Harvard and the NIH have consistently shown that men with insulin resistance, often caused by poor diet, lack of movement, or excess visceral fat, have significantly lower testosterone levels. So the connection is two-way. Low testosterone worsens insulin sensitivity, and insulin resistance further lowers testosterone. It becomes a hormonal tug-of-war, and your energy, sleep, and libido are caught in the middle. Oxidative stress. This is cellular wear and tear caused by unstable molecules called free radicals. Over time, oxidative stress damages tissues, including the testes and the hypothalamus, the brain's hormone control center. Think of oxidative stress like rust. It builds up silently, but it weakens everything from your blood vessels to your hormone signaling. Now, here's where this connects to food, and specifically fruit. Whole fruits are rich in antioxidants, anti-inflammatory compounds, and phytonutrients that directly combat these culprits. So instead of seeing fruit as just sugar, think of it as a strategic tool, something that calms inflammation, restores metabolic balance, and protects your hormonal machinery. Let's take a moment for a gentle myth buster here. Many men have heard that eating fruit increases estrogen or lowers testosterone, but that belief comes from poorly interpreted rodent studies or fear-mongering blogs, not clinical evidence. In fact, some fruits, as we'll explore, boost testosterone indirectly by improving nitric oxide production, reducing stress hormones like cortisol, and protecting the testes at a cellular level. This is something I see a lot in my practice. Men trying extreme diets, cutting carbs or fruits, and wondering why they feel worse. The body isn't a machine that just burns calories. It's a finely tuned hormonal symphony. And that symphony needs the right instruments, including antioxidants, healthy fats, and micronutrients. So here's the takeaway from this first section. Low testosterone after 60 is common, but not inevitable. And while aging plays a role, the biggest drivers are lifestyle-based and treatable. When we reduce inflammation, support insulin sensitivity, and protect the cells that make hormones, we give the body a chance to restore balance. The foods we choose each day, especially the right fruits, can either add to the burden or help lift it. Next, we'll look at the first fruit that's backed by impressive clinical research to support testosterone levels and cardiovascular health. It's red, juicy, and far more powerful than most men realize. Let's start with a fruit that's been called nature's nitric oxide booster, the pomegranate. Now, pomegranates aren't something most men think of when they're looking to support testosterone, but research says they absolutely should. Here's what the science shows. In a 2012 randomized study published in Endocrine Abstracts, healthy men who drank pomegranate juice daily for 2 weeks experienced an average 24% increase in salivary testosterone. That's not trivial, but even more important, they also had lower blood pressure, reduced cortisol levels, and improved mood. So how does one fruit do all that? Let's unpack the physiology. Pomegranate is rich in polyphenols, especially punicalagins and ellagic acid. These compounds have powerful antioxidant and anti-inflammatory effects. They help protect the Leydig cells in the testes, the ones responsible for producing testosterone, from oxidative stress. But that's not all. Pomegranate also increases nitric oxide availability, a gas molecule your body produces to relax blood vessels and improve circulation. Why does that matter? Because better blood flow doesn't just help your heart, it also improves erectile function, supports testicular health, and enhances nutrient delivery to endocrine tissues. There's also a connection between testosterone and cortisol, your main stress hormone. And when cortisol is chronically high, it suppresses the hypothalamic pituitary gonadal HPG axis, the hormonal system that governs testosterone production. Pomegranate appears to reduce cortisol in a way that lifts the suppression and allows testosterone to rise naturally. And here's something most men don't know. Pomegranate also has prostate protective properties. A 2006 study published in Clinical Cancer Research found that men with rising PSA levels who consumed pomegranate extract saw a significant slowing in PSA doubling time, which is a marker of prostate cancer progression. The mechanisms are likely tied to anti-inflammatory effects and inhibition of oxidative DNA damage. So to recap, it supports nitric oxide, better circulation. It reduces cortisol, less testosterone suppression. It protects Leydig cells, better hormone production. It may even slow prostate growth and PSA rise. That's a lot of benefit from one fruit. Now, how should you actually include it? Fresh pomegranate jarroles, the ruby-like seeds are a great choice. A half cup a day provides a strong dose of antioxidants. You can sprinkle them on oatmeal, add them to a smoothie, or eat them as a standalone snack. You can also use 100% pomegranate juice. Just watch the serving size. About 4 to 6 ounces per day is enough to gain benefits without overdoing the natural sugars. And if you're on medications for blood pressure or blood thinners, check with your doctor, as pomegranate can mildly affect medication metabolism in some cases. Here's a simple analogy I use with my patients. Think of pomegranate as your circulatory multivitamin. It's like a gentle tune-up for your blood vessels, your hormones, and even your prostate. And it's delicious, which honestly helps, because the best health habits are the ones you'll actually stick with. If this is helping clarify things, give it a thumbs up and keep learning. We need more men talking about nutrition and hormones without shame or confusion. And I'm glad you're here for that. Next, we'll shift gears and talk about a very different kind of fruit, one that's creamy, full of fat, and often misunderstood, yet crucial for hormone synthesis, the mighty avocado. Let's move from something juicy and tart to something creamy and rich, the avocado. Now, most people don't think of avocados as fruit, but they are. And for men over 60, they're one of the most powerful hormone-supportive foods you can eat. Why? Because testosterone is made from cholesterol, not the bad kind that clogs arteries, but the kind your body uses as a building block to make steroid hormones like testosterone, DHA, and cortisol. And avocados provide the perfect fat profile to support that process. Here's what the research shows. A 2019 review in the Journal of Clinical Lipidology highlights how monounsaturated fats, like the kind found in avocados, are associated with higher free testosterone levels, especially when combined with lower intake of trans fats and refined carbs. Monounsaturated fat isn't just fuel, it's a messenger. It helps activate enzymes in the testase that convert cholesterol into testosterone. It also reduces inflammation and improves insulin sensitivity, both of which are critical for keeping your hormonal system humming. And it gets even better. Avocados are rich in vitamin B6, which supports dopamine and testosterone production, vitamin E, which acts as an antioxidant and protects testicular tissue, magnesium, which enhances free testosterone by reducing SHBG, sex hormone binding globulin. Let's break that last point down a bit. SHBG is a protein that binds to testosterone in the blood, making it unavailable to your cells. Think of it like wrapping your testosterone in duct tape. It's there, but your body can't use it. Magnesium helps reduce SHBG, freeing up more active testosterone. One small study in biological trace element research found that older men who supplemented with magnesium saw significant increases in free testosterone, especially when combined with regular physical activity. And you guessed it, avocados are one of the best natural sources of magnesium in the fruit family. Now, I often hear this concern from patients. Won't eating all that fat raise my cholesterol? Here's what the evidence says. Avocados can actually lower LDL bad cholesterol while raising HDL good cholesterol. In fact, a 2015 study published in the Journal of the American Heart Association found that eating one avocado per day improved lipid profiles in overweight adults without raising total cholesterol. So not only are you supporting your hormones, you're protecting your heart at the same time. Now let's talk practical application. Here's how to use avocado in a way that supports testosterone. Half an avocado at breakfast alongside eggs or in a smoothie. Mashed avocado on whole grain toast, topped with seeds or greens. Sliced avocado on top of grilled salmon or chicken for lunch or dinner. Or just a few chunks with olive oil and sea salt as a simple snack. Because avocado is high in fat, it's also very satiating, helping to reduce overeating, stabilize blood sugar, and minimize energy crashes. A quick myth to bust here. Fat doesn't make you fat. Poor metabolic signaling, excess sugar, and chronic inflammation do. Healthy fat like that in avocado actually helps your body burn fat more efficiently by balancing hormones. And remember, testosterone isn't just about libido. It's about energy, mood, bone density, and even brain function. Supporting it with real food like avocado is one of the gentlest and most sustainable steps you can take. If this resonates, let me know in the comments. I want to hear what you've tried, what's helped you, or where you're stuck. This is a conversation, not a lecture. Next, we'll tackle a fruit that's packed with antioxidants and often misunderstood by men. Berries specifically will bust the myth that they raise estrogen and show you why they might actually be protecting your testosterone and your prostate. Let's talk about berries. Blueberries, raspberries, strawberries. They're sweet, they're colorful, and too often they're feared by men who've been told, don't eat berries, they raise estrogen. This is one of the most common myths I hear, especially in online forums. But let's set the record straight, because the truth is not only different, it's empowering. Here's what the research shows. Berries are among the most antioxidant-dense foods on the planet. They're rich in anthocyanins, flavonoids, and ellagic acids, compounds that do far more than just color your fruit bowl. They actively protect your testicular tissue, lower inflammation, and improve blood vessel function. A 2016 study in the Journal of Nutrition and Biochemistry found that anthocyanins in berries helped protect Leydig cells from oxidative damage, preserving testosterone production in aging rats. Similar findings are echoed in human data, showing how berry-rich diets lower inflammatory markers associated with hormonal disruption. Now, what about the estrogen myth? Here's the confusion. Certain plants contain phytoestrogens, plant-based compounds that can weakly bind to estrogen receptors. But phytoestrogens are not the same as estrogen, and they don't feminize men. In fact, many act as selective estrogen receptor modulators, which can actually block harmful forms of estrogen while supporting hormonal balance. The concern stems mostly from soy, not berries, and even there, the fear is often overblown. Berries specifically contain very low levels of phytoestrogens, and what they do provide are protective, not disruptive. There is no clinical evidence that eating berries raises estrogen levels or lowers testosterone in men. In fact, they may do the opposite. Let me explain with an analogy I use with patients. Think of testosterone like a delicate flame. Oxidative stress and inflammation are like wind and rain trying to put it out. Berries are like the glass lantern that shields that flame and helps it stay lit longer. Another bonus, berries help with insulin sensitivity. Insulin resistance is one of the silent killers of testosterone. When blood sugar is out of control, testosterone production slows. But a 2017 study in Food and Function found that daily berry consumption improved fasting glucose, insulin sensitivity, and blood vessel function, all vital for testosterone health. Plus, berries support brain health, which is tightly linked to hormonal regulation. Remember, testosterone production starts in the hypothalamus, a part of your brain. If brain inflammation is high, hormone signaling goes down. So how can you incorporate berries in a hormone-supportive way? A handful of blueberries in Greek yogurt, a mixed berry smoothie with spinach, protein, and flaxseed, raspberries on top of oatmeal or chia pudding, frozen berries blended into a testosterone-friendly dessert with dark chocolate and avocado. And yes, frozen berries are just as nutritious, often even more so because they're flash frozen at peak ripeness. If you're concerned about fruit sugar, here's something reassuring. Berries are among the lowest glycemic fruits, meaning they don't spike your blood sugar. They're full of fiber, which slows digestion and helps maintain stable energy. One more note, berries may also support prostate health. Research from the American Urological Association has linked high antioxidant intake from berries to lower rates of prostate enlargement and inflammation. While more studies are needed, the early data is promising. So to recap, berries don't raise estrogen. They support hormonal balance. They protect testosterone-producing cells from damage. They improve insulin sensitivity, brain function, and prostate health. If you've been avoiding berries because of outdated myths, it might be time to invite them back into your diet. Because again, this isn't about doing everything perfectly. It's about making small, smart changes that support your body as it ages without fear or confusion. Up next, we're going to zoom out and address a broader concern. Is fruit sugar hurting your hormones? We'll explore fructose versus processed sugar and the difference your body knows better than most people realize. This next topic is one I hear all the time, especially from men trying to clean up their diet. I've cut out all fruit. I heard the sugar kills testosterone. Let's take a deep breath and look at what the science actually says. Because while it's true that excess sugar can disrupt hormones, not all sugar is created equal, and your body knows the difference between whole fruit and processed sweeteners. Let's break it down like I would in a clinic visit. First, the concern about fructose, the natural sugar found in fruit. Yes, fructose in high amounts can be a problem, but the key word here is amounts, and more importantly, the source. When we talk about fructose harming hormones, we're usually referring to added fructose in the form of high fructose corn syrup. This ultra-processed sweetener found in sodas, packaged snacks, and sauces delivers a huge dose of sugar without fiber, nutrients, or satiety. That leads to liver strain, insulin resistance, and inflammation, all of which suppress testosterone production and menopause symptoms. But whole fruit, that's an entirely different story. Whole fruits come with fiber, which slows sugar absorption and protects insulin function, antioxidants, which reduce oxidative stress and inflammation, micronutrients, which support testicular and endocrine health. In fact, multiple studies show that moderate fruit consumption, especially antioxidant-rich fruits like berries, citrus, and pomegranate, is associated with better metabolic health, not worse. All right, let's look at the evidence. A 2019 cohort study published in Nutrients followed men with different dietary patterns and found that those who consumed 2 to 4 servings of fruit per day, particularly low glycemic types, had higher testosterone levels and lower waist circumference than those who consumed high amounts of added sugar or refined carbs. So it's not that sugar is universally bad, it's that context matters. Think of it this way. Eating a banana is not the same as drinking a can of soda. One comes with potassium, magnesium, fiber, and vitamin B6. The other comes with empty calories, insulin spikes, and zero nutritional benefit. Let's address the testosterone connection more directly. When you consume excess refined sugar, it raises insulin. Chronically high insulin levels lead to insulin resistance, which impairs the hypothalamus and pituitary, both key players in testosterone production. Additionally, high sugar intake raises aromatase activity, an enzyme that converts testosterone into estrogen. That's the real hormonal disruption most men are afraid of. But here's the good news. Fruit-based sugars don't behave that way, especially when they're part of a balanced meal. Even fruits higher in sugar, like grapes or bananas, don't pose a problem when eaten in moderation, alongside healthy fats or protein. The glycemic load stays low and your insulin response stays steady. Now let's talk practicality. If you're over 60 and trying to support your testosterone, here are a few simple fruit strategies. Pair your fruit with fat or protein. Example, berries with Greek yogurt, apple slices with almond butter, banana with a boiled egg. Avoid fruit juice, especially store-bought. Juicing removes fiber, concentrates sugars, and makes it easy to overconsume. Whole fruit is slower, fuller, and smarter. Use fruit to replace processed sweets. Instead of cookies or sugary cereal, try frozen banana with cinnamon and crushed nuts, or a pomegranate dog chocolate combo rich in polyphenols and testosterone safe. Stick to 2 to 3 servings a day. That's plenty to get the benefits without overdoing natural sugars. A serving could be 1 small apple, half cup berries, or 1 kiwi. So here's a takeaway. Whole fruits, especially those rich in antioxidants, support testosterone, not sabotage it. The real hormonal threats are excess processed sugar, insulin resistance, and chronic inflammation, not a handful of blueberries or a slice of papaya. Your body is smarter than the internet. Up next, we'll bring it all together, how to build a testosterone-friendly plate, how to integrate these fruits daily, and what a sample day might look like for energy, balance, and hormone health. Now that we've explored the science behind how specific fruits can support testosterone, energy, and overall vitality, it's time to make it practical. Because even the best research means little if we don't know how to bring it into our daily routines. So let's talk about how to build a testosterone-friendly plate, one that works for men over 60, supports hormone balance, and is actually enjoyable to eat. First, a quick reminder of the 3 superstar fruits we've covered. Pomegranate for nitric oxide, circulation, cortisol reduction, and prostate protection. Avocado for hormone-building fats, vitamin E, magnesium, and satiety. Berries for antioxidants, testicular protection, blood sugar balance, and inflammation control. Each of these fruits addresses a unique pillar of testosterone health. So how do we weave them into your day? Let's break the day into 3 parts: breakfast, midday, and evening, with flexible options based on your preferences and schedule. Morning, calm, energy, and hormonal support. Start your day with a meal that sets the tone, low in processed carbs, rich in fat, fiber, and antioxidants. Sample breakfast: half avocado mashed on whole grain or sprouted toast, topped with poached egg and arugula. A side of Greek yogurt with half cup mixed berries, green tea, or black coffee. Why it works: you get the healthy fats from avocado to support testosterone synthesis, the protein and probiotics from yogurt for gut health, and antioxidants from berries to shield your hormones from oxidative stress. You stay full longer and avoid the mid-morning crash. Midday, blood sugar stability and sustained focus. This is when blood sugar dips or stress can spike. Keep your plate simple and grounding. Sample lunch, grilled salmon or chicken breast, quinoa or lentils, roasted vegetables, broccoli, carrots, bell peppers, side of mixed greens with olive oil and lemon, small serving of pomegranate seeds on the side or mixed into salad. Why it works. You're combining lean protein with complex carbs, fiber, and healthy fats, plus a nitric oxide boost from pomegranate to support circulation and combat cortisol. This meal stabilizes insulin and supports both energy and focus. Evening recovery, sleep, and hormonal reset. Dinner should be light, anti-inflammatory, and help wind down your nervous system. Sample dinner: stir fry with tofu or shrimp, garlic, and greens, small serving of brown rice or cauliflower rice, half cup blueberries or blackberries with a tablespoon of chia seeds for dessert, herbal tea, chamomile, ashwagandha, or lemon balm. Why it works. Berries reduce inflammation and aid in overnight cellular repair. Chia adds fiber, omega-3s, and magnesium, all supportive for testosterone and relaxation. And cutting out heavy sugary foods at night protects insulin and sleep quality, both critical for testosterone production. Bonus, weekly habits that reinforce hormone health. Meal prep Sundays: pre-slice avocado, portion berries, freeze pomegranate arils, hydration with purpose, infuse water with lemon, cucumber, or mint, not sugary drinks. Pair fruits with protein. This slows sugar absorption and keeps energy stable. Movement plus meals. A short walk after meals improves insulin sensitivity by up to 30%, a simple hormone-friendly habit. And most importantly, stay consistent. Hormonal health is built through accumulation, not perfection. Think of it this way. Your testosterone is a reflection of how your body is supported or stressed across time. The more you nourish, sleep, move, and eat like your health matters, the more your hormones respond in kind. So instead of cutting out foods in fear, start adding in the right ones with clarity, not confusion. If you've made it this far, you're already doing more than most, not just for your hormones, but for your long-term vitality. Share one habit you're going to try below. Your comment might inspire another man to take his first step. Now, in our final section, I'll wrap this all up. We'll recap the science, revisit the myths we've busted, and leave you with one small but powerful action you can start today. Let's take a breath and bring this all together. Over the last half hour, we've covered a lot. And if you're here at the end, that tells me something important. You're not just curious, you're ready to take charge of your health. Let's quickly revisit what we now know. Testosterone decline after 60 is common, but not inevitable. It's often driven by inflammation, oxidative stress, insulin resistance, and nutrient deficiencies, not just aging. The right fruits can support testosterone naturally, not through magic or marketing, but through real physiological mechanisms, improving blood flow, reducing stress hormones, fueling hormone production, and protecting the tissues that keep your system running. Pomegranate helps with nitric oxide, cortisol balance, and prostate health. It's more than a fruit. It's a circulatory ally. Avocados provide the fats and nutrients that hormones are built from. They stabilize blood sugar, lower inflammation, and fuel testosterone synthesis. Berries are antioxidant powerhouses, not estrogen bombs. They protect your testes, your brain, and your metabolic balance. Fruit sugar in the form of whole fruit is not your enemy. It's fiber-wrapped, nutrient-dense, and behaviorally satisfying, the exact opposite of added sugar. And finally, you learn how to build a hormone-friendly plate, a real-world approach you can start today without cutting out entire food groups or falling for trends that leave you tired, confused, or ashamed. Here's the truth I want you to leave with. You don't need gimmicks. You don't need to be afraid of fruit. You don't need to fear aging. What you need is understanding, evidence, and tools you can trust. Because when you understand how your body works, you stop blaming it. You stop seeing every change as a failure. You begin to support it with food, with rest, with curiosity. If you've ever felt like your energy is fading, if your motivation, your strength, or your drive feels different than it used to, please know this is common and it is treatable. And often the most powerful steps aren't drastic, they're daily. They look like choosing berries over ultra-processed snacks, adding half an avocado instead of skipping fat altogether, drinking a small glass of pomegranate juice instead of chasing a new supplement, going for a 10-minute walk after dinner, prioritizing sleep, hydration, and nutrient-dense meals. These are not small steps. They are signals to your body that it is safe, it is supported, and it can thrive. You don't have to be afraid of your body, you just need good information. You deserve to feel like yourself again, and you deserve to age with strength, clarity, and confidence. So here's your one small action for today. Add one of these 3 fruits to your next meal. That's it. Start small, stay consistent, and watch what happens when your body finally gets what it's been asking for. Stay curious, stay informed, and I'll see you in the next one. If this video helped you understand your health a little better, leave a comment below. And if you want grounded, shame-free health content from someone who actually looks at this in the clinic every day, subscribe. And let's keep this conversation going.